Hello world and welcome to this edition of Tech on Fire with Blaze. I'm Blaze Stewart, architect at Wintelect, and today we're going to be talking about the change feed feature on Azure Cosmos DB. Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about the change feed in Cosmos DB. Now this is a neat feature that's built into Cosmos DB that doesn't get a lot of press, but basically what it allows you to do is get a feed of changes that come out of Cosmos DB. Either you get new data that's been inserted into Cosmos or updated data that's been inserted into Cosmos. Either way, it publishes that change to a change feed that you then can subscribe to from something like an Azure Function. Now you can do that through other means, but a function is a fairly common way to do it. And the function then basically receives the data in its changed state, and then you can use that in the function however you see fit. You could put it on a service bus and into an event hub, publish it to some kind of dashboard. There's a lot of things you can do with it. But getting that change out of Cosmos DB means that you don't have to sit there and poll for changes or do stuff like that. So it's kind of a neat feature, and I'm going to show you how to wire it up. It's really not that hard to do. I have the Azure portal pulled up right here, and I have my instance of Cosmos DB. I'm using the serverless tier, which should be fine for my demo right here because I'm not using a lot of capacity, so this will automatically scale up and scale down accordingly because this is really just for demo purposes. I don't have a lot of data streaming in and out of it. In any case, it's pretty straightforward to set this up. Basically, all you need to do is get Cosmos set up. So once I have my database set up, I can go over here in Data Explorer, and this is where a lot of the stuff is going to be happening. And you can go in there and look at the collections that you're going to be using. Now, the collection that I'm going to be watching is this one called log items. Now, log items is where all the data is going to be either inserted or updated. Now, it doesn't work for deletes. So if you're going to delete data, you're not going to be able to get that in your change feed. So kind of the workaround for that is to create a is deleted tag inside of your record. And if it is deleted and the change feed sees that, then it can actually go back and delete that data as part of the code. But if you don't want to track that, that's fine. But this is only looking for updates and new data. So this is the one I'm going to be tracking for the changes I'm interested in. So if I go in here and I look at the data, I'm already pumping data into this using my function, in which I'm going to show you in a minute. Actually, I'm using a little Node.js app to populate this. And this is just giving me telemetry from my firewall. So these are just all the events flowing out of my firewall. I'm just publishing them in to a Cosmos DB database right here. This collection called leases is an important collection that the change feed uses to essentially bookmark where it is in the change feed. So when you start the change feed, basically the listener is going to say, here I am, and it's going to let Cosmos DB know when it started, and that is going to be inserted into the leases collection, basically on a per partition basis. It's going to say, this is where I'm at in this change feed. It's going to basically bookmark it. And the next time it picks up, it'll be able to go back and look up that particular bookmark and start listening for new changes in the change feed. So with this, you can actually go all the way back to the beginning of whenever you created a particular collection and view all the changes using the change feed, so that you can basically replay them all in a way through whatever function app you want to do or whatever listener is going to be a part of this. So you need a leases collection in order to basically maintain those bookmarks. So you can have multiple change feeds coming out of a single collection. You can have multiple things listening to that as well, multiple function apps if you want to on a change feed, and they can be different function apps that are responding to it differently. In fact, you can have multiple leases against the same collection that have different collections maintaining them. So I could have leases 1 for one function and leases 2 for another function. It basically allows you to have multiple listeners many listeners as you want to a given collection listening to the change feed. I'm only going to have one for my demo here, so I'll only have one collection maintaining the leases against my change feed, and then I actually have the one I'm going to be listening to, which is log items. I'm looking for changes and new data on that particular collection in my change feed. Now, this is the database I'm going to be using. So what I've done for this, purposes here is I've set up a simple Node.js application that's basically acting like a syslog for my firewall. So as data comes off my firewall, it publishes it to this little syslog right here, and this is listening, and then it gets the event and publishes it up to my database. My database is just a Cosmos DB database. There's nothing special about this. It's just saying, here's my document, publish it. Here's my document, publish it. And it's just creating new items in that database as they come off the firewall. So if I want to start this up, I can just go to CMD, and I can go CD desktop, and then go to Cosmos. Let's go CD desktop first, and then go Cosmos. Let's see, where is it? Let's get dir here. CD syslog to Cosmos. That's what I was doing. And let's do node index.js, and that's going to start it up. And this should start logging data pretty much right away. So this is all going into my database now. Data is flowing out of this particular syslog daemon right here from my firewall to the syslog daemon up into Cosmos DB. Now, once I have that up and running, I can create a function app to listen to these changes, which I've already done. Now, I could publish this, but I'm just going to use Visual Studio to demo this. So basically, I have my Cosmos DB function app right here. Now, to create this, it's really pretty simple to do. So all you got to do is come over here and create a new project, and you can wire up a Azure function right here. And the function is just going to be a Cosmos DB function. If I want to create one of these, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to stick it in a repo like that. If I hit create like this, I just need to set up a Cosmos DB trigger, and I can use the storage emulator. That's just for the function to record log data and that kind of stuff with it. I need to know what the connection string setting is. That's basically the setting that the function is going to read. That's a environment variable in functions that's basically going to go out there, grab a connection string from that, and then use that to connect. The database name and the collection name. And once you hit create, you'll get a new collection listener that's going to be listening for changes. And it's going to look something, I'm not going to create this since I've already done this. It's going to look something like what I just showed you in the code right here. Let's go pull this up right here. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to create just the shell of a function that looks like this. Now, the least list collection right here is created if it does not exist. That's something I set. And you can set this parameter. If it doesn't exist, it'll create it, or you can manually create it. It's basically just going to use the minimum RUs, I think, of 400 to set this up. You can scale that up if you're going to have a very busy change feed. But all in all, this is a very simple way to create this. And once you have it, all you got to do is start it, and then things will start running. So if I start running this, I should be seeing the changes come off of the Azure Cosmos DB change feed, and it's basically just going to log it right here to the console. So that's what this is going to do. So let's go ahead and start this, and this is what the function would look like. So it's going to start my function. It's got the function runtime on my box here. I've written this little function app to run, and it's basically starting, and there it basically replayed the entire list of changes, and as new ones come off this, it will publish them here. So just to get an idea of what the latency of this looks like, let me come over here to my function app. This is what this is looking like. Let me kind of bring this down so that we can see it kind of on the same screen right here. And this is the function listening to the changes that are happening right here. So as soon as something comes in on here, it should take a few seconds for it to show up here, usually about 2 or 3 seconds for it to show up over here. And this one is the latest event right here. So you can see that 86.4, 86.4 of the source IP. And there's the source IP right here. So it takes about 2 seconds for it to come from the actual event where it happens on the syslog to where it shows up in my change feed. So it's pretty fast. And this can scale pretty widely if you need a lot of changes coming out of this change feed. But once it's on my function, I can do whatever I want to this. I can have an output binding, publish it to a service bus. I can do whatever I want to with it. So I have that data, I have the changes, new data if I want to, and it's publishing it to my change feed right here. So again, a very useful feature on Cosmos DB, very easy to set up, and it allows you to have something coming out of Cosmos DB that is going to give you an event that's happening from Cosmos DB rather than having some kind of complex wiring to wire up a bunch of things like a polling system to poll for changes, or having something that's going to fork the data and publish it to a service bus, then write it to a database or something like that. If you like this content, please consider checking us out online at www.winelect.com, where you can find several blog entries about topics related to Microsoft Azure and software development. And you can also subscribe to this channel by clicking the subscribe button below and then clicking on the bell icon to receive notifications when new content becomes available. Until next time, thanks.